In today's podcast, I'm speaking to Redge Grant. In this podcast, Redge tells me about how he was able to make the move from being a civil engineer to being a full-time bow hunter as well as the owner of an archery shop, how he compares bow hunting to rifle hunting, what you would need to be able to start with bow hunting, what are the main aspects that you need to learn and understand for bow hunting and competing, what it would cost you to get the basic setup to start, the price comparison between buying a bow and buying a rifle, the pros and cons of hunting with a bow, and a lot more. This podcast is also sponsored by Archers Edge. That is the archery shop in Pretoria East that can help you with all the accessories as well as equipment that you would need for bow hunting. Enjoy the episode. Redge Grant, welcome to Challenge to Champion, and thank you so much for being here.
It's a big pleasure and privilege. I appreciate, man.
Thank you, and I see you in the proper attire. It looks like you are a sophisticated hunter.
I try.
I love it, and you are fresh out of the field again.
Yes. I still have the battle scars. I had to apologize yesterday at the office for my hands all being cut up and still stained from doing what we do.
So this is probably prime time of the year for you.
Yes, it is.
Busy between business and hunting expeditions.
Yes.
How do you balance running a shop in hunting season and being an avid hunter?
Man, it's a tough one. Yeah, you should actually ask my wife that question. My kids. We juggle it, and luckily my wife is very supportive. She loves. She started the passion with me, and she's also in love with the outdoors, and she knows what it means for the both of us, or for me to just get out and sit. I was able to last week sit in a tree for like 12 hours straight, and the guy said, "Listen, aren't you bored? Can we come fetch you?" I'm like, "This is the best time ever." I'm watching National Geographic live, first person view. I'm there. I'm in the moment. And so she knows what it means, and I get inspired and I get fired up for business again. So it's good. I can't do it a lot. I try and do 2 to maximum 5 trips a year, 3 for myself and the family, 4 or 5 some years, and then with clients overseas and local, maximum 2. So I try and limit it. Not back in the day, it would be 3 months straight in the bush with clients, and that would really take a toll on the business and on the family.
Of course, yeah, I can imagine that. And I can also assume that you get invited a lot because people want to learn from you.
Yeah, and that's a tough one because I also prompt my staff to not always accept all invitations. You have to. It's great experiences to go out with people and teach them. But there's also a fine line. You can't accept all the invitations, and I always say the farmer invites us and say, "Listen here, come shoot animal. Don't worry, you don't have to pay." I'm like, "Listen here, my equipment don't have babies. They don't multiply. I buy one, I get one. You buy 2, you have 3, you have 4. In a few years, you have 10. You might be able to give away some animals. I appreciate that, but I can't accept free animals. I rather pay my way, and that way, when a guy walks into the store, I don't owe him, he doesn't owe me, and
of
it's
course
safer to keep the lines between friends and business and all that.
Yeah, they get quite blurry, especially with these type of hobbies, right?
Yes, and because you're all friends and you all love the same thing, so it's difficult. But one of my best friends, coincidentally, his name is also Reg, and we made the rule 15 years ago. Whenever we hunt together, he had properties, and when I hunted his property, I pay him his price. When he walks into my shop, he pays me my price. And so the lines never blurred, and we've got an awesome friendship for 15 years straight, and we hunt all over the world together. And, it's just great being able to, and I've got a bunch of friends like that. Like, it's just, if you keep it business is business, friendship is friendship. And, nobody must win or nobody must lose in that relationship.
Of course, yeah. It must be mutually beneficial.
That's it.
And you don't want to pull each other down as well.
No.
You don't want that in a friendship.
There was a shooting range back in the day when I started 25 years ago, and it had a big post on the entry, and it said, "If you're my friend, you'll pay me." A lot of guys think because they're your friend, they don't have to pay. But a true friend wants a true friend to do well and succeed.
Yeah, I agree
so
with that.
There's a real fine line in blessing somebody else. Listen, I respect what you do. I want to bless you. And it goes both ways, yeah.
I've heard of people speaking about, we do baby showers and that type of thing to help people when children are coming.
Yes.
And it's quite an expensive thing. It's a difficult thing that you're going to endeavor into. But we don't do that for business. Have you heard of like a small business shower?
Imagine that.
Where you get together with business people. You tell them, listen, this is my friend. He started a new business. What contacts can you give him as a business shower?
Yes.
And I thought that was really a cool idea because people just congratulate you. Congratulations with the new business.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone who is in business knows that initial startup is the most difficult part.
Yeah. The first
you
2
need
years.
to get your initial sales. You need to get a reputation.
Yeah.
You need to get clients that can tell other clients.
Yeah, referrals.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is probably something that we need to do.
Sure. That's a great idea. So I've been blessed throughout the years to have youngsters age 7, 9, 10, 11 that start the passion of archery with us and meet up with these youngsters. When they reach the age of 16, they start helping out in the shop, after school, during studies, holidays, they start working in the store. And a lot of them throughout their studies. One of my best mates now, I met him when he was 11. He's now just turned 30. He's turning 30 next year. But he's a actuary, actuaris, and he worked through the shop, and I was able to eventually be best man on his wedding. But throughout the years, we would sit together, and like when he had to go study, we would sit and chat. And whilst he's studying, is this the right thing? And we had the opportunity to, hey buddy, I was there. I studied. There's a lot of lures to go in a different direction or change your course or stop completely. And we had all these discussions. And today, I'm glad I've learned a lot from him, and through him and about myself, even having these conversations. And I'm trying to do it a lot, to sit with younger mates, 10 years, 15, 20 years younger, and sit with him and talk and have the discussion and say, listen, I might not be able to give you your startup capital, but I can tell you out of my experiences, starting a business, being an entrepreneur, where the pitfalls might be, and my point of view and of my experience. And I've seen a lot of them gain a lot of, I wouldn't call myself a life coach, but in that sense where you can sit and just speak to future business entrepreneurs, people that want to leave the corporate structure and the safety net of having a salary every month and go and do your own thing.
Yeah. I have to say that for a young man like myself is a really difficult thing to find a mentor and someone who actually wants to do it.
Yeah.
Because I see it mostly in the corporate fields.
Yeah.
It's you can go and shadow someone or do something like that, but it is a lot more formal, and I don't see it as a strong relationship building.
Yeah.
It's a formal interaction between two people, and normally you pay for that or you work for free, and I don't think there's any problem with that.
No.
But getting someone who's really invested in your journey and in the long term.
Yeah.
I think that's so valuable. And I have to tell you, I've met, since I bought a bow, that's the first thing you tell anyone. It's like when you start doing CrossFit. It's the first thing you tell someone.
It's almost like being an office. I'm from office. My name is Reg. Yeah.
And I have to say, like 90% of people who I've told, I've bought a bow, I'm starting bow hunting. Do you know Reg? You are really well known in the industry, probably one of the best, and I haven't heard a bad word about you. And that's not just flattery, I would have told you, but no. So I think you're making a really good impression on the people.
Yeah.
Take me a little bit into your background. What did you study? Where do you come from? And how did you change into archery being your main job, your career, your main hobby? All of those.
Yeah. Man, making me tear up. I come from a family of pastors. My dad, there were 5 sons, and 3 of them were pastors, and my granddad was also a pastor. And so that's all I knew. And I always jokingly say, I'm not going to be a full-time, an usher, the guy that takes up the money. I'm not going to carry the basket full-time. I have to do something. So we grew up, my dad was in multiple churches over the years, Natal and Durban, Pretoria when I was really young, and then we moved for most of my primary school and first bit of high school, we were in Northern Natal Vryheid, which I'm very grateful for. Amazing childhood life. If you had a PT short that you can play rugby in, and a t-shirt was optional, and you had a bicycle and a slingshot, a slingervel, like David and Goliath, and that in your pocket, you were golden. And we would just be in the bush all day long with our bikes. Had a most beautiful childhood life there in Northern Natal. We would do silly stuff like 12 o'clock at night. We'll go 10 k's out of town, go to the big dam outside of town, the reservoir, and we'll go jump off the tower, 12 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Jump into the dam, swim, get on our bikes, drive back. And our parents would know we're safe. And we were 11, 12, 13, 14, doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we would camp a lot, and our mates, my mom one December counted where in the whole December I only slept in my own bed twice. We'd sleep on my dad's church roof. We'd sleep in the bush. We'd sleep everywhere except at home.
Just looking for adventure.
Adventure, yeah, and it was so adventurous. We would go caving. We once went into a cave, and we in the Vryheid mountain where there was supposed to be a big cache of firearms. Out of the Boer War, Vryheid was the main town of Transvaal back in the day, super old history, and there was supposed to be a big cache of old weapons in there. So we always went searching in these caves, and then we went back a week later, and the whole cave fell in.
Goodness.
So, I mean, that was so stuff like that, like super adventurous. But then in my standard 9 year, age 17, my dad accepted the calling of the Lord. He had a dream about it, and we came to Boksburg in the Oosrand. I always say the wise men came out of the east. So we went to the east, and I always jokingly say that was my 2 years in the army, saying that it was rough. From countryside to Joburg, it's just a different culture. It was a rude awakening, but it opened my eyes up. And for the first few months, I cried myself to sleep. I don't want to be there. It was just, but it was part of the Lord's plan. My dad just said, if the Lord had a plan for him to move, the plan was for our whole family. And I was very upset with it. And but now, thankfully, I can see how the Lord's hand was in it and what the plan was. And it was for me to grow up and mature, open my view. And then, then came to, my aspirations as a young boy was to one day marry one of my, there's a big German community in Northern Natal. And my aspiration was to marry one of the German, one of my friends, jokingly saying one of their sisters, and become a farm manager and just farm cattle and maize and game. And that was my aspiration in life. I wanted to work on a farm. But then getting into Johannesburg, East Rand, and seeing money is actually something, because in the countryside, money had no value. Money was not. You were just
gathering experiences.
Yeah, gathering experiences.
Not money.
If you didn't have a bike and we went on a thing, I had two mates that was quite short, and we would drive around in town, and the one guy would sit on my shoulders and have his feet on the steering wheel. And that's how we drove around. He didn't have a bike. So he sat on my neck, and he had another short friend, he sat on another friend's neck. So we'd be 5, 6 guys with 2 guys on the other guys' necks, and we would go over town and do stuff and get up to mischief, and that was life. And money didn't really
play a role.
Yeah,
and it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary.
I'm from a small town, Secunda.
Okay.
And I had very much of a similar upbringing to yours. And I mean, I'm 32 now, so that was 15 to 18 years ago. And we did the same things. If you had a BMX, you could go anywhere. Yeah. In Secunda, Trichardt, you can go anywhere. And we would have pegs on the back of the bicycle. And one guy would stand on one peg and have one pedal, and the other guy on the other peg and one pedal. Yeah. So 2 guys pedaling one bicycle, and yes, we had a ball of a time.
Yeah, it was a beautiful time, and I it's sometimes a pity that our kids maybe don't grow up the same way.
Yes.
You're sharing earlier that you have a small boy, and my boy being 11. But it was a beautiful time. There, if I needed money, I would tell my mom, throw out all clothes, and me and our house help would go to the taxi rank and we'd sell clothing and shoes, and I'd give her a commission. As a young boy, whenever I needed something, if I wanted to buy a pistol or a rifle, I'd sell some stuff. I wash cars, polish wheels, and I go buy something.
Yeah, you don't need a massive business plan.
Yeah. Just, okay, let's sell stuff. Okay,
Someone wants something,
you need?
I have something.
And I always used to operate like that, and I'm glad that entrepreneurship, my parents always, my dad, one thing I can credit my dad for, I'm so thankful for that. I actually never told him this, but he never crushed my dreams. Whenever I would aspire to, I was a young high school boy, and I said, Dad, I'm going to buy a Glock. It's the best pistol money can buy, right? That back in the day, 25 years ago, it was so many years in a row, and the military contracts and police contracts. And he said, okay, how are you going to do it? I never asked him for the money. He says, okay, tell me what plan do you have? How are you going to get the money? No, Dad, I'm going to work in the gun shop. They will allow me, and then I get staff discount, and then I can, and okay, good, go for it. And he never said anything is too expensive to buy. Like, tell me why you want to buy it, and I'd sell him on why I want whatever I wanted. And he said, okay, how are you going to do it? And I'd make a plan, and he always supported me. Never said, no, you can't buy that, or it's too fancy, or this. So he always allowed me to dream, and just inspired me and said, go for it. And yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So did you go and study after school then?
So my subject choices, wanting to marry into a farm, jokingly, was not correct. So my backup plan was studying nature conservation, but I didn't have, stopped having science, didn't have good maths, skipped too much school and played around. So I started in a gun shop in 9 and matric, my last 2 years, worked in a gun shop part-time, and then they said I was in the group. They wanted to promote me, send me for courses, and they wanted to make me a manager in the chain. And I then, with my background of the platteland, I was able to get a job on a farm doing anti-poaching, and worked on a farm for half a year. Then my dad said, you know what, I'll give you one hook in life. Being a pastor, he knew a lot of people. He said, I will help you once to get a job. If you mess that up, you're on your own. They couldn't really say just go study and endless money to just say go waste money on studying. So I didn't think of really going to study. And what was nice is my dad got me in a drafting company where he used to work as a young boy before he became a pastor. And I did my apprenticeship as a draftsman. And then every day after work, I would go to the local bow shop in Benoni. There was one of the first big bow shops in the country. And I would go sit there and I would talk hunting to the guys. And I would just, I didn't have the money to buy a bow, but I would just sit there and look at the guys shooting and just sit there drool about this dream. And I used to make my own bows as a young boy. And one of the owners said, listen, why don't you come work for us? I'm like, yo, I'm going to tell my dad that he just arranged me this job. Now I have to leave this to go work in a toy store, bow hunting. Bow hunting. I'm not, yeah. And I spoke to my dad, and my dad said, you know what, go for it. If you want to do it, you know my conditions. I said, I'll help you once. I spoke to a friend, you got the job. You're busy with your apprenticeship. If you leave this, there's no going back. He said, but it's very easy. And my dad always said this, and I must thank him for it, but it was not nice when he said it. He always said, it's very easy. Just pray about it. Ask the Lord to guide you. He would never say you have to do this, it's your life, you pray about it. Ask the Lord, and He'll show you. And the testimony on that was, I had to be at the job interview at 10, and it was 15 minutes drive, so I had to leave 9:45. And I sat in the office and I worked for 2 guys. They had a joint office, and the one guy was very strict and militaristic, and the other guy was super lenient and a really nice guy, both real good guys, but the one guy I was super scared of. And the militaristic guy walked up and down our offices and continuously looked if we were working and checked our work.
Is this now at the
as a draftsman? Yeah, at the draftsman. Sorry. And my prayer was that I would get the nicer of the 2 bosses by himself to ask him, listen, I want to go for a job interview in my apprenticeship. If I don't get the job, may I please come back? It's an odd conversation. And I sat there and I fasted that morning, didn't eat anything, just prayed. And it was like 20 minutes to 10, and the nice of the two guys didn't walk through, up and down. He never really walks around, but my prayer was it will be a sign if I can get him alone. I didn't have the courage to face the two of them in the office and talk to them. 16 minutes to 10, 1 minute to go, it's my cutoff, then I have to leave or I'm going to be late for the interview. Possible job. And I looked at my watch and I saw it's 1 minute. And I thought, okay, now I'm going full out. Closed eyes, and I sat behind my big drawing board, and I just sat and prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to go 1 minute straight, and if I open my eyes, then, that's the sign. And pray, and wait for this minute to pass, and as I want to look on my watch, I see in the corner of my eye the one guy standing in the door, like this. He says, Reg, what's wrong? Well, I want to go for a job interview and I'm scared you guys are going to chase me away, and I apologize, I really like this job, but I want to try. He says, get in your car and go, and if you don't get it, you come back. Don't be late, go. Yeah, jumped in the car, did a 30-second explanation, jumped in the car, got the job, and started in the archery in 1999.
Goodness.
And yeah, so 25 years ago, and left this steady job of being a draftsman, and yeah, went into the full-time hunting. Within a month, the shop owner gave me the keys and he entrusted me with a store, and made a lot of good connections, met up with a lot of really good people. Back in the day, it was a very niche sport. And then in the middle, the 2000s, 2010, it was a Jan Allerman sport. Everybody could do it. It was slightly more affordable.
And you don't need a license.
Yeah, you don't need a license. And whenever the firearm laws are strict, a lot of people want to buy bows or crossbows. Whenever the laws slacken, then the people buy guns again. So it's like this. But so yeah, I worked in the shop. We were very busy back in the day, and we had leading brands, and loved it. But I met up with a lot of engineers, and one of these good company in our country, the guy said, listen, Reg, why don't you become an engineer and you can work for us? And they would always go on buffalo and elephant hunts, and I would always be like in awe, and they could see the passion, and the guy says, if you study, I'll give you a job and you can work for us, and then you can go on all these hunts with us. And yeah, I eventually decided, you know what, I'd go. So I had to, at age 20, I had to redo my matric at a college. I had to catch up science. I never had science, and I had to redo my maths. So for all the kids out there, pull your socks up, keep your nose clean, and do your work. Study hard. Otherwise, you have to redo it. It's no fun. And so at age 20, I did a crash course, went for a few extra classes, and I basically crammed 8-9 a matric into the last 3 months of that, and then wrote, got a C, redid my maths, got a C, and was able to go to varsity and go study engineering. And at age 20, impressive. At age 21, I was a first year. Studied civil engineering, and I studied at Pretoria Technikon. So you do 2 years, and then a year practical, and then 2 years part-time for your degree. After 3 years, you get your diploma. So I was blessed with ADHD and dyslexia, and made fun of a lot because I see your super neat handwriting. Kudos to you. I have the worst handwriting, and I can't spell. I can read fairly okay, but
you should have become a doctor.
Sure, man. I've got the handwriting. But saying I was blessed with that, I would like to talk to you about that. But I never thought I could do maths. I never really paid attention. I was big into sports and just getting up to mischief, that was my thing. Being the class clown and thinking about just getting up to mischief was my main thing. I rebelled against people saying, you're the pastor's son, you need to be an angel. And my dad, also being a pastor's son, always said, if somebody says you need to be an angel because I'm a pastor, then you ask them what their parents do. And if his dad's a farmer, you need to ask him to make like a cow or like a sheep because, so you don't have to, apply. Same rules apply. Yeah. So that made me a little bit unhinged. But, so I was blessed with ability to just cram stuff in really short, and I did fairly okay with my schoolwork in limited. And then when I studied engineering, I actually discovered I love maths. I enjoyed it, and I had a really good lecturer that just was so passionate about it, and he made maths come alive to me.
And that probably made the difference, right?
Yeah, it was like, I love this. I can actually do this. And I had a crushing experience in grade 1 where my teacher took my book where you write in your script book that you learn how to write. And she says, nobody's ever write this ugly in her whole career. And she said, if I don't fix my handwriting, she's going to teach me a lesson. And by the end of the year, she said, okay, you never were able to fix your handwriting, so this is it. So she made me take my book and made me go through the whole school, through all the grade 1s, grade 2s, and grade 3s. And I had to walk through all the classes in front of all the kids and show them my handwriting so that everybody can laugh and make fun of me. That was a low blow. But that made me accept the fact that, okay, everybody knows I can't write, so bugger this, I will never write neat in my life. They can guess what's standing there. I can't even today read my own handwriting. They are like really. My wife has to help me answer when I've read something that what's supposed to be there.
I think maybe I had to do that with my studies because they could see what I write, but they knew it was wrong, and that didn't help me at all.
Yeah. So, but then that was a blow. But I think it also. One can always sit and point fingers at all like that teacher. It could be crushing. But it taught me how to deal with something like that at a very young age. At age 6, 7, I had to deal with that. And the teacher might not always be the person that's in your corner that look after you. There might be great teachers like my math teacher at varsity. But there's other people that, and you must look around past that. They've got their own insecurities and their own hurts. They're bleeding on people that didn't cut them because they didn't heal their hurts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and having the good teachers is probably the exception.
Yeah.
It's a difficult job.
Yeah. So I studied engineering, enjoyed it, and after the first year of doing the first 2 semesters, me and a mate got a job in Botswana to do our practical for a year. And when we got there, the guy said there's no way that we would survive the stress that we were working under. We were building a big road, and they were in a penalty time in the construction where you pay daily massive penalties. And we had 17 grown-ups run back home in the prior part of the contract, like in the year. So they said there's no way that 2 youngsters will survive it. And we outlived all those guys, and we ended up doing most of that, finishing that contract. And we gained a lot of respect in the company, and we both got promoted and got job offers to go into Ethiopia, America, get back in the day as students. Our buddies were earning peanuts, and we were getting offered like $10,000 a month to go do contract work abroad, to not even complete our studies. So did that, really enjoyed it, and then stuff happened. The engineering, it was not my passion, because when I part-time during high school, I worked in the gun shop, I worked in the bow shop, so I like talking to people. You can see I like talking, and but in construction, it's like it's not you're not there to chit chat and talk to people. It's work, and I really didn't enjoy it, and it showed in my lifestyle. I was smoking 50 cigarettes a day. I was drinking white wine out the bottle like a proper road builder or boerman. I was just not living the life. And the guys, that was the life that the people living abroad doing that type of work were doing. It's just drink and work. You work 28 days a month, and then you're 2 days off. It was crazy.
Not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. And I looked at the guys in their 40s, 50s. And marriages fell apart, and me, us studying at the Technikon, you're more technical, hands-on work than the guys at the university, sitting in the office, and so I couldn't see myself doing this forever. And they always said, you will not make 30 with your lifestyle. the way I lived at that time. So stuff happened, and I just said, you know what, I'm out of it. And I ended up joining a company, friends who started an archery business, and helped them run it. And then it's a crazy roller coaster. I decided, you know what, I need to go study again. So after a few months, I went back, studied again, and then I met my wife at varsity. She was studying BSc Medical Sciences, and I would part-time PH, take clients out to make money for studies, skip school, go hunt, drive clients around, do hunts, put hunts together, and then juggle it like that between the studies and that. And then in my final year of theory, two guys offered me a partnership either in an archery store or in a hunting business.
They wanted you to start
Yeah, they wanted me to go in partnership with them. And again, I went to my parents like, listen, yeah, I'm busy. I've got 6 months and one big assignment left. And then I'm an engineer or diploma, and then I can do my degree. This far, thank you for your support, but I might want to just call it quits. This is not how I see myself doing it. I love the experience I gained, the people I met. There's some structure. I learned a lot, but and my favorite mathematics lecturer told us something on day one at varsity. He said, if you mess up and you end up studying 6 months or a year longer, you must never subtract that from your startup capital. You must do that at retirement age. The money you're earning when you're top of your game, take that away. So if you fool around, some guys fool around for 2, 3, 4 years before they pick whatever they're going to do. And he said, so you don't have 6 months to waste. And I listened day one. I took that to heart, and I said, I can finish for 6 months and say I've got a diploma. But if I'm not going to do this, if the Lord is not in this for me, then, and I get the clear sign that I must quit, then I'm leaving it now.
These 6 months are valuable.
It's valuable 6 months. And I'm so thankful. So in 2003, I jumped back in. Halfway through 2003, we actually started where my shop is today. And that was horse stables. And they had the little roofs, you've seen it, where we shoot under. In Wacker Road on Kimyat, it's where they had goats and horses and ponies for pony rides. And in 2003, we cleaned the horse manure out of that store and turned it into a bow shop 21 years ago.
Yes, I didn't know it was there that long.
Yeah.
Was Kimyat there at that stage?
Yeah, that's been there for very long.
It's tremendous what you've built. Did you buy that land?
No, so it's in the part of the Kimyat, so it's a family trust. And they're trying to keep the property as they've got the Friends of Kimyat, people that hike there, and they want to not develop it. It's actually zoned as agricultural ground still. So it's they don't want to have townhouses there. They don't want to have businesses there. Tried multiple times to buy it over the years, but yeah.
Do you have like a long-term lease or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you have built something beautiful there. But let's go into archery a bit. So you've told me now, like on the previous hunt, you do also hunt with a rifle. Let's talk about how do you feel about rifle hunting versus bow hunting? Is it a challenge thing? Is it an ethical thing? Why would you choose for a specific hunt a bow rather than a rifle, or a rifle rather than a bow? Is it terrain dependent? What are the things that you consider when doing that?
Yeah, it's the plain explanation I do every day in sales. It's almost like fishing. Some guys like to carp, papgooi, sit and wait to get a fish. Some guys like to bass, where it's more interactive. You're constantly casting.
Fly fishing.
Yeah, and then there's fly fishing, which is hardcore. I always get tired after I put the whole thing together. I don't want to do it anymore. It takes so much time to get everything set up, and then the wind's too strong, and then you have to. I'm like, but the reward when I fly fish. And I'm not a big fly fisherman, but I fly fish quite a few times in the Zambezi for tiger fish. And when I land a tiger 800 grams and up, under 2 kgs with my fly rod, the adrenaline I experience makes me nauseous. I want to puke from excitement. I heave, I stand there, I'm like I'm like so excited to where I've caught them on drift bait and with spinners, and it's great fun. And if you catch a big one, it's amazing. But every single one that I catch with my fly rod, no matter the size, I mean, it's an achievement. The whole effort to get it in there. So in layman's terms, that's a quick explanation. With a rifle, I love rifle hunting. I just did a great hunt with my family in Lady Grey. We hunted in the snow mountains under Lesotho, and in the snow we hunted mountain rebuck, fallow deer, and springbuck and pigs. And it was an amazing hunt with a rifle. We had an amazing time. So there, the terrain, I have hunted animals with a bow in that terrain, but you're going to spend a week and you might get one animal, and you must be happy with it. It's about the experience, not about getting meat. You buy biltong on the way there, and you might buy biltong on the way back at a butcher, and it will be cow. But you're going for the experience.
And the challenge.
The challenge. So I love both. I love anything. I even, as I said, I play with a slingshot. I've hunted in Spain with a ketty, with a slingshot, where the guy couldn't give me a rifle, and they said, but you can go hunt rabbits. So me and my wife went after rabbits with a slingshot. I mean, so I love hunting, and hunting by law is referred to the pursuit of and the looking for, soek na, agtervolg van. That's hunting. It's not killing. If you walk around on somebody's property and you look for animals, you're poaching, you're illegally hunting. You don't have to kill something to be an illegal hunter. And I love hunting. Sometimes the animal has to get utilized, has to die for you to utilize the meat and the skin and the bone and whatever. So I love both. I don't discriminate, and I like it when I like to go to SA hunters meetings and talk to the guys about rifle versus bow. And I once did a talk in Centurion where the guys said to us, listen here, I could see the guys didn't want to listen to a bow talk, and you have to get ticked off that you were there for your rifle application. So the guys were sitting there, and it was my turn. You could see that nobody wanted to pay attention. So I said to the guys, I want to ask you guys, what don't you like about bow hunting? And everybody sat like this. And there was one guy complaining all the time about the fee that they have to pay for pop and sauce at the meeting. So I said, well, pop and sauce, you had lots to say. Why don't you like bow hunting? And everybody started laughing. And he says, you guys sit at the water. I'm like, thank you very much. I waited for that one. I said, so who of you, by raise of hands, never hunted off the back of a pickup? Everybody.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, for us to sit at water and for you to shoot a blesbuck or a wildebeest in the Free State off the back of a buckie, it's the same thing. Let's get that out the way. And one guy said, yeah, but it's very expensive. I'm like, okay, thank you for that. So let's discuss the price of arrows and broadheads. If an arrow is $150, you shoot it 10 times, it was 15 Rand a shot. I've got air rifle bullets that's just by 5 Rand a bullet for a slug to bullet. If you shoot it 100 times, it was R50 a shot. I've got arrows that I've shot thousands of times. My wife is blessed to be African champ, national champ, world champ in some categories in archery. And she's got a set of arrows that's lasted her 4 years. She shoots those arrows in season. She shoots up to 2 hours a day. The same arrows, hundreds of shots every day. And she bought them once. So the equipment, some people complain that the equipment is expensive, and that's why they don't want to get into the sport. But rifle versus bow, to get back to your question, the ability, you've sent me videos of you shooting next to the pool, the ability to use it in your backyard legally. Yeah. The same bow that I used to, as a young boy, when I got my first bow, I would hunt pigeons. Before work in the morning, I would shoot a pigeon for my gardener, peg a pigeon on the lawn, pull the arrow out. He would be very thankful. And that was my practice. If I can peg a pigeon at 20 meters, I can shoot an impala. I can shoot a buffalo. And nowadays I've had the blessing to be able to hunt multiple buffalo and hippo and all the funny animals that we, from warthogs all the way up. But I practiced on it. Nobody's walking around with their 30-06 and shooting pigeons. So with the same bow that I'm using to hunt a buffalo, I can use it as well as I would use my air rifle in my garden.
Very versatile.
Yeah, very versatile. So that actually initially sold me, the versatility of it. and it's quiet. I can be doing it. And so this weekend I had the privilege to shoot 2 impala, and shot 1 impala. He ran off, fell. All the other animals looked at him, and another impala came by, and I shot him.
They don't know what happened.
They don't know what happened.
Yes.
They all just stood around. And I sent a voice note to the guys in camp and said, "Listen, yeah, bring more arrows. I'm feeling threatened. I'm doing this in self-defense." But I mean, and that is a lure. So they say the productivity on a bow hunting farm versus on a rifle farm is much higher, due to the fact that every rifle shot, the animals run around, they scatter. It takes a little bit of time for them to get back into feeding, reproducing. So there was a study done 20 odd years ago where they said the productivity is like percentage-wise like 50% and up more productive if you just bow hunt versus bow and rifle or just rifle. And animals in captivity versus animals in free range on a farm, a kudu bull, for instance, can reach 14 plus years in captivity in a small little zoo-like scenario. But out in the bush, with stress and hunting and pressure, they die earlier. So the bow hunting is also less hard on people with smaller properties. It's a great alternative to gun hunting. But I love both. I don't discriminate, and I take pride on not discriminating on rifle hunters. Whereas to a lot of guys with a rifle, like, no, I'm no bushman. I'm not going to walk around with a bow and arrow. I'm like, just try it before you judge it.
I think it's also maybe the difficulty of it, because it's really difficult. You have to be very patient. You have to be very precise. Where with a rifle, you can, in a short amount of time, teach someone quite easily to be able to shoot something.
Yeah.
And with a bow and an arrow, it's not the same. You need to spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
And I have to say that's one of the things that drew me into it, being able to do it in my backyard. I was looking for a sport that I can do after my injury, so the suggestions came in. One guy suggested wheelchair rugby. They call it murder ball. It is extremely violent. They are like in a bit more sporty chair with like arched wheels, and they drive into each other full speed the whole time. It's like crash cars, basically, for wheelchairs. It's insane. So I thought that's just going to cause another injury.
Yeah.
Another guy suggested canoeing. Okay, fair. But now I have to load a canoe, go to some body of water, offload a canoe from a wheelchair. I mean, it's not really viable.
Yeah.
It's not a good option. I can't do it every day for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And that is what bow hunting looked like the option to me, because I can literally grab the bow. I have a butt in my backyard. I can shoot as many as I want. The initial fee was paid. I bought a second-hand bow and arrow from you. Yeah. And that is something to say about the type of person that you are. I mean, you could have easily told me, no, you're going to waste your time with that. Let's set you up with the best possible. But I'm very thankful that you didn't do that. You said, no, let's get you into the sport. Let's see if you enjoy it. Let's see if you can do it. And I am enjoying it, and I am really loving it. So I will probably be upgrading my equipment soon. Yeah. But I think also if you compare rifle against a bow and arrow, if you're looking at doing the licensing, buying a weapon, a rifle, buying a scope, buying the ammunition, if you go for entry level, let's say you go for a Hawa 306 or 308, whatever, you're going to pay around 12 to 15,000. Decent scope will be anywhere from 8 to 15,000 again. You're going to very easily sit on 30,000. And that's not your ammunition, 30 to 50 rand per shot. With a bow, you can help me better with the numbers, but what would you say comparative to a Hawa with an entry level scope? What would that comparison be in bow hunting terms?
I think like the nice thing with the bows is the lifespan. They last they last for a long time. So the bow you got, if I can talk about that, I think your bow was set up for like 3,000 rand in total, or just over 3,000 rand, like under 5 grand.
Yeah. Under 5 grand with arrows, with a butt,
with everything.
So that's everything that I need to
you can start shooting, practicing.
You can't do that with a rifle.
And for me, the time away from the office to take my rifle and go work out loads and go try ammo and back and forth. With a bow, it's easy. You can do it in your garden, or you visit a shop that the guys.
And I mean, your shop is in the center of the town.
Yeah,
it's not
so
10 k's out.
Yeah, so we can quickly gauge you and help you. When I go with my rifle to the shooting range, there's nobody to help me with a load or tell me I'm too much powder, this, that, too fast, do that. You read up and then you go test it and then you go back home. We do it on the spot for a guy right there and then, half an hour, and he's done. He's perfectly set up. He's world class, and he can go out. So I think we sell a service that a one-stop shop where we can teach the guy. I always say most guys grew up with an air rifle, a 22, a 3.6, as you said, and we know a rifle, but I'm not Bushman, you're not Bushman. We didn't grow up with a bow. So there's always a niche market for people teaching other people how to use a bow, how to do it correctly. And we strive on specializing in that. So I've got the top guys, number ones in the country, that work in my shop that help teach the people to do it correctly. So we give you the it's like buying a set of golf clubs but getting 10 lessons with it. Yeah. You're going to know how to utilize your clubs.
And also specialized clubs, because everything is set up according to your strength, according to your posture.
Yeah, so that's one thing which drives me crazy. People wanting to get their friends to shoot their bow to feel what it feels like. Now it's too long or too short or too heavy. It's like if I give you my 10-year-old boy, 11-year-old boy's bicycle or somebody and say, listen here, take this bicycle and go cycle the August and see if you like it. Yeah. And it's too short. And they're going to have blisters and they're going to have back pain. No, I don't like cycling.
The cycling's terrible. Yeah.
No, you need the right size bike. You need to be fitted for you. And the same with a bow. So ideally, we ask people whenever they want to get their buddy to feel, send them to us. We'll give them a free crash course to feel what it feels like, a couple of shots at no charge. Or they come do a rental by us. They rent it for an hour, bring up a couple of mates, feel what it feels like with an instructor that teaches you how to do it. If you go to the driving range with no idea what you're doing, you don't even know how to keep the golf club, nobody's showing you, you're not going to have fun for an hour. You're going to get through half the bucket and say, I don't like this. Not even.
Yeah, and you're going to have a skewed perception of what it is.
Yeah. So we really beg people at shows and at hunter conventions, whatever, to come to the shop, experience it at the right length, at the right draw, like we did with you. Let's go out to the shooting range, feel what it feels like. Before we discuss pricing, which your question was, just feel if you like it, but set up correctly. Because a lot of people like, I don't want to invest money because I don't know if I can do it, because I tried to drew my buddy's bow and I couldn't get it back.
And he's just set up at 70 pounds or whatever. Yeah.
So you have to start with something, it must not be hard, it must fit you. It must not be too long. The guy who gives you, if you look at the guy and he's taller than you, don't try and shoot his bow. You're going to injure yourself.
Yeah.
So, so back to your question, I really enjoy the fact that bow hunting is so simplistic, no license. And with one bow, I can do what I do with a 22, a shotgun, a 223, a 3.6, and a 3.5, a 375. I can replace my 5 firearms with one bow. And I can shoot competition that I would have done with my 6.5 Creedmoor, for instance. So that's the allure to one bow does everything. Most people I know have one bow. But that same guy's got 5 rifles. And that tells you a story.
Yeah.
So that's a nice thing. So I love rifles. I've got quite a few, and with being a professional hunter and doing a dangerous game, Big 5 professional hunter, I've got the stuff for buffalo and all that. And then of course a rifle has its place. You don't use a bow for culling, for instance. A problem animal like a problem elephant, a problem buffalo is not allowed to be shot with a bow and arrow. Because it's by law it's seen as a less lethal weapon. You can't shoot a headshot with it. You have to shoot a hard long shot. So in certain scenarios, I've hunted problem hippo. You can't use a bow. Then I love to take my rifle and I know I can do it, and I'd rather do it and I'll pay to do it and do it correctly than somebody else go and they try and poison or spear or trap or whatever it or snare it to not when it's a problem. I had the privilege to hunt a hippo in Bushbuck Ridge in the middle of a township with my kids, and they could see the people get the meat and how thankful they were. And my little daughter, she was small at the time, she would pray at night. She would say, Lord, please allow us to go hunt a hippo or something like that again, so we can give the meat to the less
fortunate,
less fortunate people.
And also taking out a problem for them. I mean,
it's
Like
life-threatening.
in Botswana, everywhere with the elephants free roaming, it's a problem for the people living there.
Yeah.
So, but what would you say if we take standard gun setup and getting a standard bow setup for someone starting out?
Yeah, so secondhand is always, I say there's 5 ways of buying a bow. So secondhand is the first option. What you need to think of is the bow so old that you might not get parts for it anymore? Some bows are fixed in a certain length. I think if I remember correctly, you were like a 27.5, 28 inch draw. And I'm a 29.5. So you won't be able to shoot my bow. I won't really be able to shoot your bow. I'd be like this. You'd be like
awkward,
that. So, and you might buy a second-hand bow for $4,000 or $3,000, but the parts to change the draw is $4,000. So now you're spending $8,000 on a second-hand bow. So if you can find a good, unique second-hand bow, a string on a bow is around about 2,000 rand. So if the bow's too old and the string hasn't been replaced in the last 3 to 5 years, you need to put a new string on that old bow.
Then
so you need to take
better to just
to buy a new bow.
Yes.
And then very few, I think there's one company that carries the warranty through all the owners. Most of them was only first time owner as a warranty on the bow. So now you've got that, you don't know if something's going to break. The parts are quite expensive. So secondhand is one option, a secondhand bow in good nick that fits you. And if you want to buy a second-hand bow, to have the confidence to take it to a shop and let them evaluate the bow. Meet the guy who wants to sell the bow at a shop, and let the shop, because they won't lie to both. They're gonna tell you, listen, this is a good deal or no. Then the
have a third party.
Then the second way is cheap and nasty, the basics of everything to get into it. And we discussed that option. That goes between 9,500 and 12,000 rand. And then you'll have a brand new bow with a warranty, with a new string. We offer 2 lessons and 2 services with the purchase of that bow. Then we custom fit the bow. Each person's ear to nose to eye differ. So you need that bow custom fitted for your facial features. So that's around about 12,000 rand, and that comes with the basic accessories. Now, the frames are good enough and the technology is good enough to where you can upgrade those accessories as you discover you like it. You might want to go more into target archery or more into just hunting. And then you can upgrade the kit, because the basics on those packages are plastic and flimsy stuff, but it's adequate to start. That would be the Hawa with the base model with a base model, $5,000, $7,000 scope. That would be the equivalent. Then one up from that is buying the best frame you can with basic accessories. So you've got a good frame. It's like buying a good mountain bike where you can later on upgrade some of the accessories on it. And then one of the other methods is taking the time, go to a shop where they are willing to spend an hour. We spent more than an hour, I think.
Probably
when you were
2 hours.
2 hours. So have enough time to go to a shop where they'll spend that time with you. And they talk you through it, because I don't like telling a guy, listen, second-hand bow $5,000 or new bow $10,000, just get into it. Because a lot of the times I ask a guy, and I'm sure we had the discussion, what rifle do you like? No, I like a Soccer. And what scope? No, I just shoot Swarovski. Okay, well I'm a blazer guy with a Swarovski. Okay,
of course.
So you like the quality stuff, but now I want to sell you the inexpensive bow. Within 2 months, you're going to see your mate's equipment. You want to have the same as them. You're going to rebuy. So let's show you what the equivalent of the Swarovski or the Night Force is. Let's show you what the equivalent of that is. And I normally have that discussion, ask a few questions, and I tell the guy, do you want to be in the same position? Is this a hobby that you don't really have time for? You want to do it with your mates once a year? Then we go one of the other routes. If you want to go full on in this, tell me your other equipment. What type of mountain bike do you drive? What type of watch do you wear? Are you happy with a second-hand Garmin watch from way back when, but you want a Garmin, or you want you buy the latest Garmin every year? And then through that, it helps me through a process of elimination to pick it. And I want to almost just tie in. Earlier I said I was blessed with ADHD/dyslexia. They say one of the characteristics of being dyslexic is you can't summarize. You're very detail orientated. I think through this podcast you can see I detail and tell, and you paint the picture. You're not very. Some professional people are very blunt and to the point. But in sales, you need to be detailed. A guy wants to know everything. So I will always try and tell as much as possible. And then secondly, with the ADHD, is I constantly read the room. So if there was 5 people in here, and I could see that I'm not engaging everybody, I would change the topic, or I would constantly read the room, and try and engage everybody at the same time. And that was a really good thing in my start of my business, because I would be able to do the output of 3 to 4 guys in a day, and I struggled to sleep. So at night I'd do admin and orders and invoicing, and during the day I'd constantly try and engage 3 guys. I had one of the first 10 iPads in the country. A guy was getting in when they launched the iPad 1. A mate of mine imported the first 10 that I knew of. And I got one, and I downloaded a bunch of marketing material on it. And I would take it to shows, and there'd be 20 people. And I'd talk, and I'd see if somebody's disengaged. I said, listen here, have a look at this. And I press play. And the guy would, if you go to the rural areas and you have an iPad, the guy he says, shut up and take my money. I don't, whatever this witchcraft is, I want what, and it would be so, and we'd really have good success in doing that. And I'm so thankful for it. A mate of mine has got a marketing company. I think he won best marketing company in the country for like 8 years in a row. And he always jokingly says he's a life coach now, and he was a mentor to me for many years, still is. He would always say, I have the ability to engage 20 people in one go. And he initially said 12 and then 16. Nowadays he says 20. So the story is getting...
It's growing.
It's growing. But I'm thankful for it. It could have been a crushing thing. And when I was in school as a young boy, I would always get a big hiding, or donkey ears, or toliki in the mouth. You have to sit like this because you talk the whole time, or finger in the mouth, or outside the class, or in the corner. And I would sit at night and pray and say, please, Lord, allow me to talk less tomorrow, so I don't get in trouble. And I would sit there for the first few minutes in class, bite my lip, and then verbal diarrhea, and I just can't stop talking. And some of my teachers caught on, and my parents would always hear at parent-teacher meetings, the teachers would say, listen, thank you for Reg. My parents would be like, why? And they say, so when we want to do mark books or whatever, and keep the class busy, we tell Reg, stand up and tell the kids about your weekend. And I'd start there, and I'll stand there for an hour and tell them what we did, and everybody would be engaged, and I'll be telling stories. And you can see it as a curse.
It doesn't work in the school system, but in life it's very beneficial.
Yeah.
My brother is the same. I would be busy writing something here, and I can't hear anything else. I can't see anything else. I'm zoned in.
Yeah.
My brother will be busy on his laptop. He'll be writing something. He'll be sitting with his PA, talking something. He'll hear a conversation on that side and answer them as well.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, so I walk around with yuppie AirPods, not to be a yuppie, but I put the AirPods in. Whilst I'm having a conversation, I can make an invoice for somebody. I can have the conversation and constantly send pictures and pricing quotes throughout the country. And then whilst I'm having that conversation, selling a bow, I'll start somebody else's bow, and then have a stormstreek conversation with somebody else, and so I'm setting this bow up. I'll tell the guy, just hold on the phone. I'll tell this guy, listen, this bow we're setting up is similar to what I want to show you. So watch me sight this bow, and I'll be setting this bow up, teaching a new guy that's interested what we're doing whilst I'm selling a bow on the phone. Now, some people don't like that. They want that individual time. But in the States, if you want that individual time, you pay $100. You pay $1,800 for that time per hour. Or you drop your bow off and you pick it up in a week. We do everything. You're there. We're going to do it now. So it's a completely different system. But then you have to roll with the punches. We're going to have to help 3 people at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, I can employ a bunch of people like you that's system orientated. They're going to start and finish. So nowadays I do a little bit less of the technical stuff, and I engage more with clients and do the sales, and then I've got technicians that do the builds and the sighting and the coaching.
Yeah, your shop is running very smoothly. I have to say, from this guy to that guy to the payment to someone setting up the arrows, everything happens very smoothly. It's a well-oiled machine. When I was there the last time, you showed me on a bow like the new technology that they have, like just the way that you grip the bow, and then you can see any movements that you've made on your phone. What new exciting technologies are there that people should look up
It's
for?
a super evolving sport, and technology has changed, and you can take a 20-year-old bow and like you can take a 303 Amoeba Ketty, 303 British, full stock open sight and still hunt any animal. Animals, I always jokingly say, animals don't get stronger. But there's a difference. You're not going to pay 50,000 Rand for 303 British open sight today. And you're going to buy some fancy 300 or 6.5 or whatever. With a bow, an old bow will still be able to do it. And if you set it up correctly, it's going to be super efficient. But the flight of the arrow is very important. And the way you grip it. So to compare it to golfing and that system you're talking about, some people have a draw or fade on their golf clubs, and the same with a bow. If you hold the bow inconsistently, so the difficulty with a bow is it's almost like a rifle with a scope, but the barrel is rubber, and you have to align the barrel with the scope. So there's no use you aiming through the scope, but you're not lining the barrel up. With a bow, you can look at the pin through the peep sight, but if you hold the bow skew, your whole sight is pivoting. You're not going to hit the target. So you have to have the same grip every single time, and teaching people that. Now the technology has evolved to where you get multiple grips and grip angles, which suits you. I had a lady that bought 2 bows from me. I had to drive 5 hours to go drop it off, and it was a super expensive kit, like more than my first few cars, for these 2 bows for this child that's a world champ that's now going to go and reach the highest points. And the parents invested in it, and when I got 5 hours later, got to them, she started shooting the bow, and the arrows just came out skew out of the bow, like horrible. And I started sweating bullets, and there was a bunch of the national guys it was in the Free State, the top shooters in the Free State were in this people's garden where I was setting up the bows. And I asked the mom, can I please get a washing pin, wasgoedpennetjie? I took my knife out, cracked the grip off the brand new bow, imported 1 black, 1 purple, fancy finishes, and everybody big eyes like this. And I took the washing pins and I cracked the backs off, and I put the wedges under the grip. And the first shot she shot, it was a perfect, we call it a bullet hole. So it makes a little hole with the 3 veins, making a Mercedes badge the same. So through paper, it shows you that the arrow traveled perfectly, perpendicular. And did that with the 1 bow, sigh of relief. Do that with the backup bow, perfect, where they were completely wrong. And knowing to just change the angle on the grip, changed her grip to where she didn't have to learn how to shoot the new bow. So that's also buying the right equipment, but having somebody that can teach you, because that bow she got, my wife won the world champs with. But if my wife had to shoot it with a washing pin because the grip was too shallow, we had to build the grip up a little bit. The experience showed me that I had to do the same for her. Now, on some of the modern bows, they have the ability to play with that. Then the thing you're actually talking about is a little brain that goes into the. It's got an accelerometer in it, and it shows you your movement on the shot. It shows you how long you aimed. It showed you if you canted the bow to a specific side, and it sort of. I learned more with that in my bow in a week than I probably did in the first 2 years of shooting a bow.
Because you're probably guessing if you don't have that data.
You don't know. It's almost like shooting, like playing golf, hitting the ball, but not being able to see where the ball lands. You're blindly hitting the ball, and you go every now and then peek and see if you got a hole in one. Yeah, because you don't know where to adjust. So this new system, one of the companies represent that they built, allows you to show you each shot. And I took it to a local provincial competition, and I had a bunch of the top national guys shoot it. And you would see the average guys had a lot of play in their hands. And the top guys, everybody has almost the same ability to aim. But not everybody has a flawless form to repeat that thing. It's almost if you were taking a rifle, a long-range rifle, and you would take the barrel and the free-floating barrel and push the barrel into the stock. You're supposed to just hold on to the stock, and the barrel must do its own thing.
Yes.
But if you're putting 1 finger, 2 fingers pressure on the barrel, you're going to constantly at 500 meters have different groupings.
Yeah.
So a bow, you're constantly holding onto that barrel, and a lot of guys are actually pressing that barrel in, and now they're trying to get a form to where they're pressing that barrel the same into the stock every single time, which is close to impossible. But with thousands of rounds, you could do it.
Close.
Yeah. But the ideal is to just hold onto the stock and let the barrel do its own thing. Now with a bow, you're always holding onto the barrel, and you can tweak it in different directions once you get tired. So I formulated my own system. If you don't want to invest in that little mechanism that fits into the bow and only certain models, there's a very inexpensive way that I teach people that you can do in your backyard, and that shows you that data. And you can do it you can build a rig for $50 and do it. And so my passion is getting people to be better. And I don't shoot competitive anymore myself, so I like people to outshoot me. If I train you and you shoot better than me in the first week, I did my job well. A lot of guys compete, and there's that they want to keep their competitive edge. They're almost like it's almost as if they're holding back. You know, they don't want to.
They don't want to show the tricks because they don't want to be beat.
Yeah. So if I can teach a 11-year-old to beat me, I'm happy.
And you've done your job.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in possibly taking the archery further. You spoke to me about some options in archery or bow hunting, about competing and the types of competitions that you can do. I mean, we currently the Olympics is currently on. Then there's a lot of different hunting style competitions. How would you choose one of those, and how would you get going in one of them?
It's almost personality orientated to, like you were saying, you and your brother. So you being super task orientated, you can focus. I would actually advise you to try indoor. So indoor is something that you can practice. Most people have about 19 to 20 meters in their backyard, and that is the 100 meter dash of archery. And there's a criteria. If you can hit a certain spot at that distance consistently with 60 arrows, you can gauge yourself. It's almost like doing a sprint under a certain time.
So would you basically like buy the same target or print the same target that you know would give you an accurate assessment of how you would fare?
Yes, so you actually buy that specific size target, set it up at a specific distance, and then we tell you the format and how much time you have to shoot these 60 arrows. And most people can do it in their backyard. And then when you compete, you do it indoors where there's no external factors.
No wind, nothing.
So, but a person like me, and as you discussed, your brother, who don't like that. It's very strict, not strict, quiet. It's everybody shoots at the same time. You respect the guy next to you. Everybody line up at the same time, and you've got, for instance, 3 minutes to shoot 6 arrows. And then you've got a break, and then you go pull your arrows, and that continues. And it's very stressful, and not a lot of people like that format. It's almost like, it's like a long distance event or whatever. It's a concentration event. It's not a quick. It's not for everybody, but it everybody can practice, and it really teaches you a good format. So we've got a bunch of schools that practice weekly by us, and we teach the youngsters to do the indoor to get a good to get the foundation of archery cemented in. Then for a person like me and your brother who want to engage everybody and have a laugh, a joke, and there's a thing called 3D archery where we do a hunting simulation, and you shoot 20 targets. It takes you 5 hours. You walk, you sit on your picnic. We have little chairs with a cooler box in, and You stop, you're in the bush, the animals are in the sun, over water, different spots.
It's like a hunting simulation.
Hunting simulation, and then you've got super kills, the different sizes, and you practice to become a better hunter. Now then it splits into two. Some people do it with their hunting equipment, the basic stuff you buy to hunt, and they do those competitions to become a better hunter. And then there's the competitive archery side, where you go full, almost like you see in the Olympics, with the long stabilizers and the magnification scopes on, and they call it freestyle. And then the guys go, it's hardcore, you're not going to hunt with that bow, it's a longer bow for more stability, and those guys can really shoot at 50 meters. Most of them you'll be able to put your hand around 4 or 5 arrows of theirs at 50 meters like that. So and then a lot of guys later on move into that, and then that's the more serious target archery. But then there's different disciplines. There's field archery, where you shoot at spots, because some people don't want to get associated with hunting, so they don't even want to shoot, especially in Europe.
Animal targets.
Yeah, they don't even want to suggest that they're shooting at an animal. So then there's the field archery, you shoot at a black or a white spot with a black background, or a white spot with a black background. And so my wife excels in that, and she's like you. She's hyper focuses. You can talk, she switches off. She's just focusing on a target, and that's like 140 arrows, 120 odd arrows, and that's a full day. And you shoot 4 arrows per target. So the concentration. And I recently sat with a mother of a daughter. The daughter was not doing well in high school. She was busy. She might have repeated a year or. And the mother came to us, she says, I just want to thank you for what you guys are doing. She's part of our school project. She says, my daughter started archery, and in the last 3 years of doing archery, going into her senior years of high school, her grades went up with more than 30% from doing archery. She says initially she was so ADHD, and the pills she took for ADHD changed her personality, and her mom and dad couldn't live with it. So they decided, they had a neighbor, which was one of our good club members, and the neighbor said, why don't you just try archery? His son did it. His son is becoming an astronaut or some crazy engineering, wanted to go be an astronaut. And he said archery was the best thing for him. Why don't your daughter try it? And she said initially her daughter could not shoot 3 arrows in a row. She would shoot 1 arrow and want to chat and get sidetracked, and then want to fiddle. And it took her a couple of weeks, months almost, to shoot 3 arrows consecutively. And after a year, she could shoot 6 arrows in a row without fiddling and getting sidetracked. And now she can shoot a competition. She just recently won one of our tournaments. Let's go for confidentiality, but she's now one of the top ladies in the country, and her grades are up. She's excelling, she's loving life, and what was supposed to hold her back, same as me, ADHD or whatever, is now she's learned how to zone in when she needs to, and she's super bubbly, and it didn't change her personality. Because a lot of people will just cram pills down a kid's throat. And I actually tried at age 43, I got suggested to take kids' concentration medication. And my wife said, please, we know you, we love you the way you are. You know, don't, because now I'm super focused and I'm super to the point. Tell a guy, you want a bow, what bow do you want? There's that, and the people, we don't know this guy. So I quit it. I'm like, no, you know, this is me.
Can't be suppressed. You must rather work with it.
They say a lot of the entrepreneurs are blessed with ADHD and dyslexia because they don't think the same as everybody else, and that's why they are able to see gaps in the market. And find a niche market and excel in it. And I was supposed to be an engineer, which would have been great, but I'm so thankful for the ability to do what I love. I don't feel as if I ever worked in my life. I talk to people every day, and I showcase my passion, my hobby to them. Living my best life. All glory to God. I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah, man, you're a beautiful example. Where can people find your content, find more information about the store? You can give the store's address as well if people want to come past there.
Yeah, thank you. So we're in 800 Wacker Road, Moreletta Park, next to a lot of people in the east of Pretoria know die Bos, or know where Enige Moreletta is from back in the day with Afrikaans is Groot and those things. behind Pretoria East Hospital. So it's on the close highways. A lot of people, when they go to the airport, back and forth, or they're in town. But 800 Wacker Road, Moreleta Park. Archers Edge is the company's name. So my wife built us a beautiful website with help on. So we've got an online store. And there's links to some of the videos that we put out on the website. And then Redge Grant on Facebook and Instagram, or Archers Edge on Facebook and Instagram. So we try and post a lot of the stuff, the competitions. If you join the club, we send newsletters out with when and where the competitions are. My wife, I think, qualified in 4 different disciplines. As we discussed the different disciplines, she's qualified, I think the most is in 4 disciplines. She's qualified for her national colours in 1 year. Now that's like doing cross-country, cycling, high jump and shot put and getting national colours for all. It's all the different disciplines that she qualified for. So she knows how many do you need to get your provincial colours and national colours, and how many shoots you need to attend and that. So she helps our club members. We're blessed to have one of the largest clubs in the country, one of the older clubs in the country, and we want our club members to excel. We have the accolades. So as I said, I don't compete against my club members. I want them to, if I have a record, they must break that record. If I train a lady, I want her to break my wife's records. Yeah, it's good for them, So yeah, we love showcasing what we do, and we go to shows at Huntex. The last 2 years, when we open with prayer and scripture, I told my staff, we are not selling a toy. We are selling family time. We're selling a father and a daughter, a mom and a son, a father and son, family time together, out in the bush, hunting, shooting tournaments together. And we've seen so many of those connections made where my wife and my son are like 2 peas in a pod. They do everything together. They travel the country shooting competition. I work on Saturdays getting other people to shoot, and then they go compete. And what my son has learned through archery, like at age 7, he would stand on the line bawling his eyes out. And I was like, he's not doing archery anymore, he's quitting. And he would tell me, Dad, I'm fine. He has to deal with something. He pitched up ill-prepared, and now has to deal with it. It's like not doing you're not studying to do an oral exam, and now you're standing there and he didn't practice. Now he wants to shoot well. He's frustrated, and he dealt with it at age 7 and 8 and 9.
Valuable life
lessons. So so it's awesome to see the kids grow and.
Well, I'm very thankful that you are doing that, and I think we will still have a journey together with my bow hunting journey, and I'm very excited for it. I had a hunt planned, and I actually shot a kudu with a rifle, and I was planning to go and shoot my first impala with the bow, and there was a quest blue wildebeest, so I couldn't do it that day.
Okay.
But I'm still planning it, possibly this year still.
I know a guy.
So no, thank you so much for helping me out, and the amazing person that you are, and the work that you're doing in the industry, and that's great, man. I love what you're doing, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate that.
Oh, it's a privilege. Thank you very much. I follow your podcast prior. As I said, I was so excited when you invited me. It's a big privilege, and keep on doing what you're doing. Thank you.